Welcome back to our deep dive. It is Tuesday, February 24th, 2026, and today we are doing something a little bit different.
Yeah, we're looking at a pretty wild 36 hours in the South Bay region.
Exactly. I mean, we have got massive logistics corridors opening up, leadership shakeups at major firms like CBRE, and even down in Redondo Beach, they are hashing out the nuts and bolts of bike paths and smoke shops.
It's honestly a perfect cross-section of how a region actually runs. You've got the macro-level global trade colliding right up against micro-level local zoning laws.
Right. But our mission today for you listening isn't just to report the news. We are running a bit of a simulation.
Yeah, we are taking these dry, heavy updates and filtering them through the lens of Voxel Micro Video Labs.
Basically asking the question, if we treated civic updates like viral content, would anyone actually start paying attention?
That is the core thesis here, because we are all drowning in noise. The goal is to see if micro content can turn a PDF agenda into something you actually stop scrolling for.
Let's test it out. We have to start with the heavy lifter. As of today, officials launched the I-40 TradePort Corridor. Now, on paper, this is just logistics.
Right. It's connecting the Port of Los Angeles to inland hubs.
Which sounds incredibly dry to most people.
It sounds dry until you realize this is the literal artery for the entire local economy. But you're right, a press release about intermodal connectivity is just going to put people to sleep.
So how does the Voxel model fix that?
Well, you just ignore the press release entirely. You go for event highlight reels. You need a 30-second high-energy cut of the launch event.
Just show the sheer scale of the cargo.
Exactly. The map visualization of the corridor, the trucks moving. You make the invisible infrastructure visible. You aren't selling the road, you're selling the momentum.
Visualizing the scale makes total sense. Now, yesterday, on February 23rd, we saw a completely different kind of shift. CBRE appointed Patrick McGrath as the new executive managing director for the South Bay.
And usually this kind of thing is just a standard headshot on LinkedIn.
Right, which tells you absolutely nothing about the human being.
The Voxel strategy here would be the meet the leader snippet. Don't tell me McGrath is leading strategy. Put a camera on him for 15 seconds.
Ask him something like, what is the one thing about South Bay innovation hubs that excites you?
Yes. It stops being corporate guy hired and becomes, here's the actual human shaping our real estate market. It builds trust before you ever even shake his hand.
That's a great pivot. Let's look down at the community level next. The chambers of commerce have been sprinting over the last day and a half.
So many meetings.
It really is. Yesterday, Torrance held their 25th annual Black History celebration. Today, San Pedro is doing new member orientation. Wilmington is on public policy. Redondo Beach has their Economic Development Council.
It's a complete blur of activity. But look at Manhattan Beach today. They are hosting a session called Get Mega Event Ready,
which is specifically about prepping small businesses for massive influxes like the World Cup or the Olympics.
That is high-stakes stuff for a local business. But again, if you miss the Tuesday meeting, you miss the information.
That's where the gap is.
And that is the exact gap Voxel fills with educational teasers. You take that hour-long workshop and strip it down to 3 bullet points.
Something like, here is how to prep your inventory for a mega event.
Right. You distribute that on local business networks and social media. Suddenly, the chamber isn't a building you have to drive to. It's a direct utility right in your feed.
Which brings us to perhaps the most difficult sector to make interesting, which is local government. The Redondo Beach City Council meets today.
Always a tough sell.
They have 2 headline items: finalizing the North Redondo Bikeway extension and an urgency moratorium on new smoke shops.
And this is where communication to the public usually goes to die.
Let's just pause on the phrase urgency moratorium for a second. To the average person listening, that sounds like legal gibberish. What does that actually mean for the neighborhood?
In plain English, it just means stop everything right now. It's the city hitting a pause button, usually for 45 days in this case, so they can figure out the rules before any more of these shops open up.
It's a freeze.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But most residents will not know that until a sign goes up in a window.
So the Voxel fix is what? A TikTok about zoning laws?
Micro explainers.
Yeah.
A 30-second reel. You put up a map of the bikeway extension so people can literally see if it crosses their street.
And then you just explain the moratorium simply.
You say, no new smoke shop permits for 45 days. Here is why. You are translating bureaucrat into neighbor.
You turn a black box into a glass house. If people actually understand why the freeze is happening, they might show up to the next meeting to give an opinion.
Precisely. The content itself isn't the problem. The packaging is. Whether it's a massive trade port or a local bike path, if you cannot hook the audience in under a minute, you haven't really communicated anything.
It is such a compelling argument. We have seen trade corridors, executive hires, and city bans all in the last 36 hours. The information is out there, but without the right delivery, it's just noise.
Information is only as good as its delivery.
So here's the question we will leave you with. If your local city council started dropping 30-second explainers on your feed instead of 50-page PDFs, would you actually start paying attention and voting on the small stuff? Or would you just keep scrolling? Thanks for diving in with us.